mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pei.
And welcome, you're tuned into Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It, Get Balance with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, CBC News Radio, CNBC News, and NBC Sports Station, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere. iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, TuneIn, Audible, Amazon Music, Tiki Live, Rumble, Podchaser, Spreaker, and you name it, I'm there. Why? Because I want to maximize my splatter zone for more hope and happiness. So I have topics and guests to that end. There's no gossip, no scandal, no capers, no Kanye talk, formerly or now, because I want you to focus on your own reality show and how you can be happy 88% of the time. And I have special series. And if you've missed any of them, we do straight talk, we do tempting conversations, we do Monday mental health matters, we do Tuesday talent, you name it, and Wednesdays, of course, one of your highlights of the week, midweek, we get over the hump with doctors in the house. And we have a first time thing happening today. We have 3 doctors in the house. First, I'm going to give her a longer introduction, but, you know, we just got to welcome her in right now. Please welcome Dr. Lee. We are celebrating Native American heritage, and my co-host, Dr. Tiffany Tate, said the perfect guest. So she's in charge on Wednesdays. So she invited Dr. Cristal Lee. Let me just read a little bit about her so that you can familiarize yourself. Dr. Cristal Lee was born and raised on the Navajo Nation. Her tribal clans are, you're going to have to help me with this, Tachii'nii, it looks close to Tachii'nii. Sorry? Tachii'nii. Red running into the water, Tabaaha, water's edge, and Tsenjikini, cliff dwellers. How did I do?
Doing good.
Okay, and ichii'nii, red house. She serves as an advisor for the Nevada Office of Minority Health and Equity and on the United Nations North American Indigenous Caucus, UN Indigenous Women's Caucus, and UN Gender Equality Task Force. Formally now, please welcome to my studio, Dr. Cheryl. I apologize. I know a Dr. Cheryl Lee, so it's going to be one of those. I got to look at Dr. Cristal Lee. You're way more qualified. Leave it to my co-host, Dr. Tate, to bring someone on who is not just Native American, but certainly a leader and a change maker in this whole area. Yeah, of course, right? So welcome in, and we're going to get to know you all show, but we like to start every program with breakfast. So you're going to have breakfast with us, and welcome to my cashew gallery. Those of you who are not driving, please go to my YouTube channel, YouTube TV channel, Dr. Marissa. If you just Google Dr. Marissa and YouTube or Asian Oprah and YouTube, you'll find it. Free subscribe. That way you'll get an alert and you get to chat and ask questions and just play along with us and have breakfast with us, which is what are 8 specific things that you are grateful for. 8 specific things that you are grateful for. That's like not 8 each person, but a one word, close to one word answer on things that you like about life. And we do that at the beginning of every show because I want to provide a balance to all of this stuff, which is MS, meaningless scrolling, and getting our news from someplace that's very biased and very negative. So that's why we start with gratitude. Dr. Tiffany, how would you like to start?
I am thankful for the ability to pray without being blown up.
Mm. I am grateful that I woke up this morning to enjoy another amazing day because the planets did not crash into each other last night. Dr. Lee.
I am thankful for being on your show today. So thank you.
Of course. Uh, Anybody in the Cashew Gallery? We've got Orville Nation. Troy's in there, my co-captains of the Cashew Gallery stream. Dr. Tiffany, go ahead.
I am thankful for my children.
I am grateful for my bonus mom who celebrated 91 years of age yesterday, Dolores Martin.
I am grateful for connection.
I am, sorry, Dr. Tiffany.
And I am thankful for my friendship with Dr. Cristal Lee.
There you go. And that is 8 specific things that we are grateful for. Now let's go to the bottom of the bun. It's a little different. It's called appreciation, and it's for aspects of yourself that you like. And I specifically do this to get you to, exercise your muscle of self-care, which I believe is the hallmark and foundation of good mental health. So what do you like about yourself? I'll start. I love my ability to laugh. My favorite sound in the world. And so that's mine. Dr. Cristal, why don't you give this one a try?
I am grateful for my humor.
There you go. We're going to have a great time today. Dr. Tiffany.
I appreciate my ability to relax. It's something I have not always been able to do, but I'm learning to do.
Awesome. I appreciate my ability to take a chill pill.
I love it. I am grateful for I'm sorry. I love my connection that I have with people, such like Dr. Tiffany.
Oh.
Beautiful. I appreciate my ability to multitask, which I'm trying to do right now.
And I appreciate my ability to organize.
Awesome. Bring it home, Dr. Cristal.
I am grateful for being assertive when need be.
Yeah. You've got a fan there on that one. I think the three of us probably are. I don't know if we've ever had this much assertiveness in one frame. How about that? I am going to see. Let's see. Shay Bird is in here. She loves herself, grateful for herself, which is fabulous, and appreciates herself. And then Troy Bocelli, he's grateful once again halfway through the week with Dr. Marissa. He's so sweet. Keep us happy and focused. And that is it for breakfast, folks. Thanks for joining us. It's the happy guarantee that if you do this little breakfast exercise for 28 consecutive days, enough to make a good habit in your life, you will sandwich your day in the most positive way. All righty, let's do this. Dr. Tiffany, why did you invite Dr. Cristal Lee on the show today?
I invited Dr. Lee, number one, because she's awesome. And number two, she is so well accomplished. And if you look at her resume, it is just very long. And I know we read a little bit about her, but I would like to read a little bit more about her because she may not want to toot her own horn, but I'm going to toot it, BB. And it's what I do because she is so knowledgeable and she is well trained. She completed her undergraduate degree at Arizona State University. Not only does she have a master's, but she also has a PhD in public health from the University of Las Vegas, Nevada, in Indigenous People Studies from the law school from the University of Oklahoma. She also attended a pre-doctoral fellowship at Johns Hopkins University, correct, right?
Correct.
So she has done a lot. She also did a fellowship at UCLA, David Geffen School of Medicine. So she is very knowledgeable, and she worked with the Obama administration, and she was appointed by them. She's also done a documentary on tribal information as for the effect on COVID within the Native American community. So when you start talking about Native American History Month and how it affects her community, I think the best thing to do is to invite an awesome, profound Native American woman who is making history within her own community. So I was thinking, okay, I know someone who is my friend who is a rock star who I would love to have on the show because she is a Native American who is making history and she is awesome in her own right. So I thought it would be great to have her here to talk about what she thinks about life within her community and how she's making history.
And I am super excited to have you on with us. I do believe this is the first time in 602 consecutive weeks that I've actually had someone who is qualified to speak to, and it's not because I didn't want to, but I know I did a Dr. Marissa reporting live at the Museum of Native American History at one year, many years ago. I think I had the curator on, but it truly is. I'm so delighted and excited because I have so many questions for you because and I love learning new things. So thank you for being here. And thank you, Dr. Tiffany, for being so well connected. And I want to put the moose on the table. For one thing, because I don't want to forget to say this. One of the things that irks me, and I try not to be irritated a lot, but I know that when I first heard that expression, and I grew up in Canada, I was born and raised in Canada, and I heard the expression Indian giver. Now, Native American, like we have Indigenous people in Canada, but I grew up in a really small, largest German population outside of Germany. So I was not exposed to a lot of diversity. And so when I moved to the States and I heard that expression, Indian giver, I'm putting the moose on the table, by the way. This is talking my Canadian version of elephant in the room. Because I want this to be one of the things that everybody who's listening now or later, that if they ever hear anybody use that expression, I want them to actually do something about it instead of ha or not say anything, because I never understood how anyone could use that expression to mean giving something and taking it back when we're the ones that took the land, right? I chose to be American. We're the ones that took without permission your land, not you in particular, but your people, Native American land. So I just want to get on. Sorry if this is a negative thing. I'm rarely negative, but I do want to highlight this as that expression will never touch the lips of my listeners and supporters ever again. And if you ever overhear it, I would like you to say pretty much the same thing. That is disrespectful, and it's kind of ironic since we're the ones that took the land. Thank you.
Very true. And I thank you for saying that.
Yeah. I don't even know. Anyways, like, how could that have even come? But why is not a spiritual question. So sometimes I just should not ask wow, that even came in. But tell me, growing up, Navajo, did you know when you were a kid that this is what you would be doing?
Yes, in a way. So I was fortunate enough to have two amazing grandfathers. My both my maternal and my paternal grandfathers were what we would term as medicine men, healers in our community through using our spiritual, cultural traditions, practices, and ceremonies. And I witnessed them help a lot of our community members. And I think I was about 8 years old, and I thought, wow, this is what I want to do with my life. I want to help heal our community and help our people the way I witnessed my grandfathers helping our people.
What was your grandfather's name? Z.
So my mom's dad was named Justin Lewis, and my dad's dad was named Ralph Lee Sr. And um, so as medicine persons, their training kind of parallels with a medical doctor in terms of they learn the core fundamental components in their training, and then they specialize in their ceremony specialty, which takes additional training, kind of like a physician going through their residency and focusing on their field of medicine.
Fantastic. And did they have Indian names that are like the running water, or what we were talking about the other names?
Um, not so. We would call them so we call them Hataslis, which are leaders. And so but we did call them. And so in our community, it's we in the Navajo community specifically, and also I wanted to premise that we changed from calling ourselves Navajos because Navajo actually means thief, and we were given that name, and we recoined ourselves calling ourselves Dene, which means the people. So moving forward, I'll reference us as Dene
I'm
versus Navajo.
so glad you told me that. I'm so glad you. There's so much. And Dr. Tiffany's going to kill me if I take over all the questions. So it's her turn for the remainder. I'll be quiet. It's her guest. I'll try to be quiet. Go ahead, Dr. Tiffany.
Now, when you were growing up, at what point did you decide that you wanted to be educated off the reservation?
I actually was very fortunate to have had a father who had a professional degree. So my father was the first in his family to get a college degree, and then he also went to law school. So although we grew up on the res, having one of the very few fathers in his generation, he worked for our tribe for a long time. And so one of the things that really planted a seed in me was culturally we should wake up every morning about 5 o'clock before the sun comes up. And so my dad made that a rule to me growing up because it indicates defeating laziness by getting up. It's easier to sleep in, it's hard to get up every morning. That self-discipline that's associated with it. And we would pray, offer our corn pollen to the earth every day for our prayership, and then me and him would run to the east, again, which is a cultural teaching. And so he would talk to me about a lot about life, and he would always say, you're going to go to college, and I want you to go to college. Um, and then he would also say, it's my job as your father to prepare you for life, because life for you is going to be 10 times harder than it is for me, because you're a woman and because you're Dene. And when you leave the reservation, you're going to experience a lot of other challenges racial discrimination, gender discrimination, etc. So I was at an early age on through my father, I knew that I had to go to college. That wasn't a question.
Yeah, I had that too. My dad was a PhD, so 4 years old, I knew I was getting a PhD. Um, Dr. Cristal, how do you spell Dene?
Tachii'nii.
Dine. I'm putting it in the chat, so
And then
it's
there's like not like an apostrophe, but after the e, there's like a slant over it for the dene.
oh, okay. I don't know how to do that, but this is at least better than Navajo, and that's what I wanted to. Is that close? Did I get that right?
I believe so.
Close enough.
Okay.
Close enough. Thank you.
Thank you for that.
Of course, of course. This is I love learning new things, and there's nothing better than something new that is respectful, for sure.
Now, when you were in college, how was that experience for you?
So the transition is always challenging for Native students. So the best way to describe living on the reservation is like a country within a country. And you're growing up within your own country system with your community. Because we're considered sovereign nations, we have our own government system, our own police department, things like that. So then you leave, and then the transition is definitely challenging. I actually didn't take school seriously in the beginning. Being a young kid, and I actually played basketball. I went to on a basketball scholarship, so it the the sisterhood within the basketball team helped supported my transition a lot. Got to meet my best friend in college, and that has been a great support system for me. And so my transition was a bit different than other people in terms of just leaving and not having an adequate support system. And that's why a lot of our Native youth, usually year one or year two of their college journey, leaving leaving their family can be really challenging, and their dropout rate hits really hard at year one or year two for a lot of Native students.
Interesting. What would you say is the most important message for people who, like me, want to respect the Native American people, want to show that respect or speak about that respect, but don't know how? So I know I'm a huge valuing diversity consultant. This is my, part of my work in life. And one of the things that well-meaning people, they'll come up and say to me, I love Chinese food. or or do you speak, or they'll start saying arigato, which is Japanese, not Chinese, or something. So what is the most respectful way that I can interact this month? Native American Heritage Month.
So just like the Asian community, the Black community, the Latino, Hispanic community, there is a lot of diversity within and among our tribal communities. In fact, there's 574 different federally recognized tribes in the U.S., and that's Native Americans and Alaska Natives. And we each have our own tribal language, and we each have our own tribal customs and traditions and practices. So just understanding that we're diverse among and within each other. And then I think number two, one thing that our community expresses a lot is just our invisibility. we when we interact with people, people have a lot of stereotypes, and actually one of the stereotypes is that we're extinct, that we're all have been extinct through genocide, and we're no longer in existence in today in the 21st century. So when we meet people, they often think that we're another racial ethnic group, and Native American is never the first consideration of a representation of our racial ethnic group. So we often get misclassified, um, and the assumption is definitely there. So I think just understanding that we are still here, living in America, Canada, and as Indigenous people, and that to not take us at face value, because we come in many shades of color, in many forms of our diversity. So just to be mindful of that.
Great point. How many did you say? 574.
74.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I think that is a very important point, because a lot of times people do take for granted that everybody is the same, and they forget that yes, we are a melting pot of people, but within that melting pot there are still different subsets within that, and you have to respect that and respect the individuality, and not just make any assumptions. And we are so good at making assumptions, and we have to remember about assumptions.
Yes.
Absolutely. And then,
Yeah.
the stereotypes that we hear when we say we're Native American, or I'm Native American, and then just all the questions come. Do you all still live in teepees? No, we don't still live in teepees, but we do use teepees for ceremonial purposes only, and usually currently. We don't get free casino money. We are not rich with all this casino money. Only a very small percentage of tribes get casino money. We do pay taxes. We do pay taxes, and we do not get free education. If you all could see my student loan bill, that's proof enough right there.
This is great. No free tuition.
Yeah, keep shattering stereotypes left and right. Just let them flow. Let them flow.
Taxes, yeah. Teepees for ceremonies. Yeah, I know this is not even close, but when I say I was born in Canada, did you grow up with moose? Anyways. Okay, let's see if I got this right. So I am using my chat here, Tattoo Gallery, as an educational component, because this does stay on the link to show respect during and recognize the diversity within the five, and recognize unique tribes that are not extinct, and not to stereotype, be curious about the differences. And then without negative judging, no free tuition, we do pay taxes, TVs for ceremony. All right, how's that? Did I get it right?
Yes.
Awesome. Now, how does I wore a feather, and I thought to myself, I'm curious. Even I'm sure that's part of the culture, but I'd love to know the story behind that.
So feather is very valuable in a lot of our tribal communities, and for each tribe it's different. Um, so um, so we use it in ceremony, and they're often gifted to us for a variety of reasons, and it has a high cultural and spiritual association with it, and that's one of the highest levels of honor you can receive from an elder, is receiving a feather. Again, it represents different things for different tribes, but the fundamental core for every tribe is that it's such an honor to receive a feather, and it has a lot of spiritual value and also cultural value. And there's different feathers, the water bird feather, the eagle feather, um, an hawk, and all these feathers mean something different, and we also utilize it differently too, dependent on your tribe and also dependent on the ceremony that you're in as well. So and then we actually have have a card that indicates that we are Native American. Like, let's say I go through the airport and I'm taking such quote unquote paraphernalia through the airport, through customs, that, you know, if we have our card that indicates that we're part of our Native American faith, then our to just to ensure that we can carry our stuff safely through different systems. But I also want to make a note that natives, us as natives, we were not legally allowed to practice our faith until 1978.
What?
Yes, before that, we were jailed or imprisoned for practicing our faith. And it was until 1978 that the Native American Freedom of Religious Act was became a federal policy.
But wait a minute. So you get a TSA pass?
Dr. Tiffany's going to start traveling with you. I can tell right now.
You get to carry more than 4 ounces. I'm a little jealous.
Oh,
Okay, I'll be talking to you after the show. You're gonna be my Bible buddy.
and if you just tuned in and you're wondering what's going on in the studio today, this is Take My Advice. I'm not using a Get Balance with Dr. Marissa, the morning show on NBC News Radio, KCAA, AM 1050, FM 106.5, streaming everywhere, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, and my YouTube TV channel, where if you free subscribe, and we're very close to 2,000, I believe we're 3 off, so maybe today will be the day. Orville Nation streaming in from Portugal, and Troy streaming in from Chicago, that today may be the day that we hit that number. But we're so delighted that you're with us today. This is Wednesday, and every Wednesday we have a very special series called Doctors in the House with Dr. Marissa and
Dr. Tiffany Tate.
Today we have the delightful 3-doctor in a row song playing. Today we are recognizing, celebrating, and honoring a Native American Heritage Month of November, and Dr. Tiffany rose to the occasion and invited her friend, who is Dr. Cristal Lee, who is not just a member of the Dene Nation. She is also a change maker. She's part of different caucuses and governing advisory boards, United Nations, to help her people, which was instilled to her by both her grandfathers. And for that, I'm just going to give you Dr. Marissa's Beneficial Presence on the Planet Award. I don't give that to all of my guests, so please do accept that with the spirit in which it was intended. I love colorful women who could, just sit in the background and do what they do because that's what we're expected, not, to do, but you're taking the courage and the creativity to stand up and do something to help your collective people. And I think that's fantastic. So on that note, what are you doing? I would love to know. Now that I gave you the award, what are you working on?
Yes, Dr. Change Maker, tell us all about it.
Very loaded question. So definitely engaged in a lot. So we have a nonprofit called UnitedNatives.org. And our nonprofit is partnered with some cool people. And so I sit on the board for L'Oreal, the beauty brand, and our nonprofit is partnered with L'Oreal. And then I also sit on the NFL Super Bowl committee, and our nonprofit is partnered with the NFL as well. And our nonprofit was awarded one of USA Today's leading nonprofit helping tribal communities during the time of COVID. We did so much work with when it was COVID. We did a lot of dissemination. We disseminated Lysol products to over 100 tribal communities. We quarantined people because I really want people to know at the time of COVID, our tribes got hit really hard, especially my tribe, the Diné Nation. And we did not get any, the first 2 rounds of federal funding through the CARES Act. Tribes were not awarded any federal funding for relief aid where the states were funded. So we were really far behind on trying to help our communities without the funding. So our nonprofit stepped in and helped a lot with that. And then through that, I created a health company called Indigenous Health, and we do a lot of telehealth to provide direct health care for tribal communities throughout the nation, both urban and rural. And I'm proud to say my company is coming out with the first healthcare app for Indigenous communities. We'll be doing a soft launch on December, and we're really excited about this because it's a huge need to provide more access to health care for our tribal members. And then lastly, I also own 2 men's professional basketball teams in Mexico.
What?
So yeah, I became a professional team owner about 2 years ago, and I'm the first Native American person ever to own a professional sports team, and I'm the only female in the country of Mexico to own any professional sports team as well. So
It's a good thing I already gave you the award. Well, all I gotta say is I'm traveling with you too. It's not just Dr. Tiffany. I would love an invite. Dr. Tiffany will agree. Why don't we? I took Dr. Tiffany to the Magic Castle with me last week. We actually did a live show down the hill at a restaurant we're not going to talk about because they weren't that nice. But anyways, I think we need to do a show from Arizona, the football thing. I saw that February. What was that event?
Yes, it's actually being in Las Vegas. So it'll be during the week of the Super Bowl, because the Super Bowl will be held in Las Vegas this year. So we're actually doing the first ever fundraising gala at the Super Bowl, and working with the professional teams and athletes, and we're inviting tribal leaders. I definitely would love you both to come and attend this event. And so we're extremely excited.
Yeah, I'd love to do the Dr. Marissa reporting live on your red carpet and do some interviews for you. Add them to Halle Berry and John Travolta, and maybe invite some of my Happy Days peeps to go and do stuff there too, because that would be so awesome. I actually love football because it allowed me to beef up my dating roster when I was single, because I would be like in the bar and say things like, God, 3 yards to the first down, and all the guys would be like, huh, that's a girl's voice.
Yes.
And then I, get asked out for the following week. But anyway, where was I? I digress. But that's an amazing event. So any football fans, you want to register for that and to go and support, donate always, to volunteer time, to, this is your month, November, folks, to talk about. You can share this show just as a way to really honor a nation that we have not treated well. And, I think that every single day that we recognize areas of temporary darkness that we have created is a good thing. So there you go.
Absolutely. It is something that we need to rectify as a country and as a people.
So there's a question from Orville Nation. Thief in what language? Well, it was a name given to. I think you were away when Dr. Lee talked about this. Go ahead. Explain that one more time, Dr. Lee.
I'm sorry. In reference to
The
what?
Navajo. So Navajo was not a self-given name. It was given to the Dene people. It means thief in the Dene language, correct?
No, it just that's how the interpretation was that's what it means is thief, not in our language, but in general. And
Okay.
then we self-coined ourself the Ne, which means the people. And a lot of tribes are doing the same thing. For example, Sioux has a negative um, association with the word Sioux, so they would prefer to call themselves Lakota versus Sioux. And so a lot of tribes are reframing how they would like to be called versus people calling them and adding these negative associations within the actual name itself. So and so I would actually, I'm sure in a lot of places, wherever we are throughout the US, especially that, there's probably a lot of activities going on, gatherings going on in your respective cities or states. And to go attend one and learn more about your local tribal connections to our communities and see how you can support and assist. And allyship is so important because we represent such a small percentage of the US population. So the more allyship and connections and support we can get from our allies, I know that our communities would really appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. I just Googled Native American events near me this month, and there's tons of things that come up. So I would encourage you to follow the instruction here or the suggestion from Dr. Cristal Lee, who is bringing great information today on how we can recognize, honor, and celebrate Native American Heritage Month. I'm sure, and I will be asked. I do freelance broadcasting, news, broadcast journalism. So I look forward to being sent to some of the events, certainly to cover them. So anything that it's already, the last 8 minutes of the show, which always happens. What have not we asked about that you would like Dr. Cristal Lee to share with everyone? Dr. Lee?
Well, I think that I'm not even sure how to state this, but I think that um, one of the biggest challenges that we have, especially for Native American women, um, and when it's regard to a public health issue, since the show is regarding a lot of health initiatives, is it's called the Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women Epidemic. It happens in both the U.S. and Canada. But here in the U.S., Native women have the highest rates of homicide, of sexual assault, and of sex trafficking out of any racial ethnic group because of our legal status as being sovereign nations. So when a crime happens on reservation land, tribes do not have the authority to try and convict persons for criminal charges. So it then gets monitored and overseen by the FBI, in which the FBI only has one agent that oversees, anywhere from 4 to 5 states. And so if a murder happens, they have to wait for that FBI agent to come. And so a lot of the crimes don't move forward to try and to convict the people who committed the crimes. And a lot of people have known about our legal challenges. So therefore, we're targeted as women. We're targeted for sex trafficking, for human trafficking. We're targeted for homicide, for sexual assault, because the likelihood of them getting caught and then also convicted um, is extremely minimal. And so therefore, that's why the epidemic has been occurring um, for really for hundreds of years, really. And I just really wanted to make that as a point that um, it as a Native woman, and always being thinking that you're targeted. um and then also, if the new movie Killers of the Flower Moon, have either of you watched that?
No, I have not.
Okay, so the movie really tells the story of the Osage Nation in Oklahoma, in which the tribe had oil due to the land. And in that movie, how Native women were targeted so these people can marry the Native women and kill them, and also their children, so they can inherit all the money and the oil and the land. And there were over 100 murders that occurred within the Osage Nation, and this was about 1930s, 1940s era. And in actuality, that's how the FBI was first started, developed, was because of all the murder of the Osage women and community members there. So just this long historical list of our women being targets for different reasons.
So I'm really glad you brought that up, because I love based on true stories, and I didn't see that there. So then I was questioning, a great movie, but I was questioning how much of that was based on truth. So what you're saying is this was based on something that happened in the 30s that was absolutely true. And so that's your homework. Go watch that movie. We can talk about it on Movie Review Mondays. But there's another one, I believe, called Dark Waters, that also, is that the one? Am I getting that right? Where it addresses what you're talking about, the throwawayness of crime against Native American women, and the just absolute horrific way that women are seen as worse than objects to be not only used but killed without a thought. So again, this is one of those. But Dr. Marissa, you talk about happy things. Why are you talking about this? Because we're talking about areas of temporary darkness that we have to put the light on. And when we put the light on and we actually do something about it, or say something about it, or put the light on it, because what you permit, you promote. Mm-hmm. So if we're lifting the light covers here and showing what the truth is, then we can actually do something about it. So quit shaking your head. Quit saying it's too disturbing to look at. I don't give a flying fork through a rolling donut if you're uncomfortable. Just watch it and then ask the universe, what would I be asked to do, whether it's volunteer or donate money or talk about it in a way that looks for a solution. Certainly, this is an easy one. Dr. Cristal Lee has a nonprofit called
United Natives.
Thank you. United Natives, that is doing things, raising money, looking at specific things to change that you can go to and help, especially if you want to go to the Super Bowl.
And what you can also do is reach out to your local political official and see if they can be more involved and take a more active role in helping to change laws to help out the local natives in your area, because that is the best way to get more money for them.
Absolutely, Dr. Tiffany. Thank you for that. Yes, we need a lot of federal level support by way of our state senators and our state congressional leaders as well, to help move some of these federal policies forward. So,
Great.
I just wanted to talk about that because that's not an issue that a lot of people are aware of. Um, so, but on a brighter note, we'll in transition into some positiveness. What is what has been really positive in our communities is our youth really having a reclaiming of our culture and our identity. A lot of our youth have really started to relearn the language, relearn the culture. So that gives a lot of hope and positiveness within our communities as as a form of resilience and coming back to who we were not allowed to be, is really powerful. And I mean, us speaking our tribal language, Denepazad is how you say our tribal language. Um, and it's really powerful. So those are some positive things that our communities have been engaged in.
Fantastic. Orville Nation has a quick question about the whole employment look about being able to have remote job optional for tribes so members can stay on tribal land and prosper. Do you have any information on that for him?
Yeah, I guess it's dependent because we don't this was a big thing of COVID. Um, we didn't have the infrastructure to have internet in a lot of our rural tribal communities. And so a lot of our tribal leaders have tried to do as much as they can to invest on the infrastructure, internet access, also road access, because a lot of our roads are still dirt roads. And so that could be a barrier of, getting to from work, school, hospitals, etc. So there needs to be a lot more
Yeah.
done on the infrastructure in itself, but it's definitely a priority for tribal leaders.
All right. I'm looking for people who have a ton of money, sponsors. You know who you are. Must. All the gazillionaires out there. This would be a great project to leave a legacy on. Is to wire up the nation. Hey, that's a great idea, if I do say so myself. We're out of time.
Yes, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Cristal Lee. What a fabulous conversation. Thank you, Dr. Tiffany, for bringing her on. I end every show with this. It's all about balance. Peace in, peace out. World peace through, inner peace. Thank you for joining Doctors in the House here on KCAA, NBC News Radio, AM 1050, FM 106.5, streaming everywhere. My YouTube TV channel. Go free subscribe. And it's the station that leaves no listener behind. Now go and have. Oh, wait, I have another minute. So I'm usually late. He didn't put 1 minute down. So let's see what I think there's a final word here from the chat. Let's see, opportunity. Okay. So anyways, thank you, Dr. Cristal Lee. Go to UnitedNatives.org if you want to do something and put your money and time where your eyeball rolling is. This
Yes, please pay us a visit.
Absolutely. And we're
Thank you, Montgomery, for tuning in.
Yes, thank you so much.
For having
All right,
me.
now go and have the best day ever.
Ever.
We'll see you tomorrow.